Look at this. This is Chapel Rock. Three-and-a-half-mile hike in. Lots of people. I just don't dig that, but I see why they come here. That's Lake Superior, and this is part of the Picture Rocks National Forest. So they got different rules than state forests. Wonder how many times daredevils have climbed out there. Well, all I gotta do is Google images of Castle Rock, and there'll be plenty of some people out there when they shouldn't be, because it says, help us protect and travel beyond this point. You can see the footprints though. How beautiful. And I love the water because it's so clear and clean. And it's very unusual to have it this calm. There's not even any breeze. Alright, get myself a selfie with a screen capture. Sweaty Doug in the foreground. Smile! That's Lake Superior. Beautiful, beautiful. You can see this spot is inhabited often by humans who like to do this stacking behavior with the stones. The next big gully washer will wash that away, but I love human whimsy. We had a visit from two heavily equipped, bulletproof vest wearing rangers right at nightfall at our campsite. You get what you think about, and what I was thinking about was, I'm not used to a trail that is this well worn with other people on it every 5 minutes, with regimented rules, and just it's not my experience of the wilderness, but it is most people's, and they feel secure. I saw bear tracks this morning. My sister identified them. So there was a bear around last night. They have a designated place to put your food bag. It's like a little bear-proof cabinet. So all the people from the different campsites see all the human tracks on the beach. It's a beautiful place, and it should be heavily traveled, and it is. But I'm not used to it because I'm a stealth camper, and to have two federal law enforcement officials just walk right into the camp and said, we need to see your permit. And then the other thing was, my brother will forever go down in infamy. He made the reservations, he made the plans, and he failed to verify the permit. And so that's why we're hiking out today. But I'm happy about that. Here's the rock. It's called Chapel Rock. Federally protected because yahoos climb up there and can make it crumble. Look at how close we are to this cliff. And look at how many people there are. Can you hear them? I can't. It's just something I'll never get used to. The difference between solitude in the wilderness and not solitude in the wilderness. See those two strands? Those are the roots of that tree that grows on top of the rock. There used to be a stone arch that came from here to here. I only heard about it from my sister, who heard about it from some old lady who used to walk it when she was a little kid. Get her picture taken there. That fell, but the roots survived. That's why that tree's alive on top of that barren rock. Isn't that beautiful? Nature is amazing. See all the footprints? Those are humans who have disobeyed the National Park Service. That's alright. See these roots? Amazing. Life finds a way. I'm all packed up. I hardly ever backpack. But my brother made the plans for this trip. So I got almost 4 miles to go back to the parking lot with a 35-pound bag. When I'm on my bicycle stealth camping, I focus on my comfort because my old bones need comfort. An air mattress. My little bug-free zone of my tent. The tent that's maybe heavier than what a backpack would use because it automatically pops right up and collapses. So I can do it like that instead of feeding these poles through the cloth as fast as I can when a storm is coming. Stuff like that. I love my comfort and I love my solitude. I love nature. So I can carry a lot more weight to generate a lot more comfort if it's all on my bike tires and not on my back. So this is unusual for me to be backpacking and my equipment is not built for it. It's not. And that's the thing, I sometimes come across young guys that are ultralight backpacking. I wish they had invented it when I was younger. I would have tried it, but I'm not trying it now. I can't sleep on the ground and be comfortable. I love my Thermarest air mattress. Gotta give them a plug here because I had holes in mine that was irreparable, and I wrote them an email and said, hey, what can you do? And they just sent me a new one. They had me return the old one. And then they just, without any fanfare at all, they just let their service speak for themselves. And their service is fantastic. So I got a good Thermarest now. It's lasted me a few years. Here's the trail that's making me huff and puff. I don't know if you can see that I'm going up a hill. The camera's perspective is a little off in that regard. Alright, Dougie. You're done talking to your friends on YouTube. Save your breath and get hiking. Possibly could rain. I don't care. It'd be a nice cool off. Hear the rumble of the thunder? Me too. This is what's known as the beaten path. Look at the fungus there. That is hoof fungus. You can shred it, and it will take a spark and start a fire. It's a good fire starter. But what is my rule? What is my rule about entering the woods? Survival tip number 1. What is survival tip number 1 of Doug's top 3 survival tips? Never enter the woods without 2 lighters and a knife. Number 2 and 3, I'll post a link. I was just thinking, I got another video called How to Get Rid of Bigfoot. Get out your camera. That seems to be how all Bigfoot sightings work. I pulled out my camera and I got this 3-second blob. I heard some comedian said, maybe the problem is Bigfoot is just a large, hairy, out-of-focus creature. I think that was Mitch Hedberg. That's funny. They call him, when there's a video that gets a lot of clicks, allegedly Bigfoot filmed, but you can't make out what it is. They call it a blob squatch. That's funny. Anyway, when I was camped way out at this lake, right at nightfall, I started hearing rocks hit the water, big ones. And I pulled out my camera and talked about the problems I had had with the rock throwing. And it doesn't scare me. In fact, I got a different time. I took out my camera. It was like 4 a.m. I went down to this lake to go fishing. And I was getting rocks thrown at me constantly. Not at me, because I know they could have hit me, whatever it was throwing rocks. And I submit to you that it could well be. Some hillbillies didn't like me in their territory. But anyway. So I was just baiting whoever was doing it. Pulled out the camera and I said, alright, can't see very well around me. Evidently somebody doesn't want me here. Come on, throw another rock. Throw another rock. And it was happening. Every couple minutes. So, I guess I'm a believer, but I'm not scared. Why am I not scared? Because you never hear about Bigfoot killing somebody. And also, I've had a wonderful life full of amazing adventures. So, if I died tomorrow, I certainly would not feel cheated or stupid that I didn't get out there and enjoy it. That's what I wish for you, my friends. You get to be my age, and you're just real happy with how things have turned out. Satisfied. That's what I want. No visitors. I'm turning the camera off. what I like. Solitude. Felt a drop of rain. Look for Bigfoot. I've had a lot of sightings in the Upper Peninsula. Do I believe in Bigfoot? If you understand how big the woods are, how much of this place, this planet we live on, is uninhabited, and you realize the credible reports of law enforcement officials. It's not just some crazy redneck. But I also believe that he's harmless. And I want to see him. Or her. That's what I want. That's part of the reason I go out alone. I think it makes it more likely. Keep your eyes peeled. Little bits of rain are getting through the canopy. Warn me if he sneaks up behind me. One of the things I love is the chaos of the forest. These trees have fallen. That one didn't make it all the way down. Neither did this one. That one's halfway down. There's some flames have licked the bark there. I have no idea what that happened. How that happened. Maybe a lightning strike? Is that tree taller than the others? No, so it's all a chaotic mystery. This is what the forest is. There's a bunch of chaos. And then there's this man-made, man-modified strip in the middle. But you can see how far on either side. Way farther than we can see. There's nothing but this chaos. One of the things I do is pack out other people's trash. What's beautiful about that, like for instance last night when my brother had not completed the permit process for our campsite, all of a sudden two heavily equipped bulletproof vests National Park officials came to check the permit. And when they discovered that Ed had not completed the process and we had no right to be there, I said, "Officers, I'll stand over there while you handcuff him." But if they had said, "Well, now that you're criminals, we need to search your stuff, it would go well that I would have a bag of miscellaneous stuff at the start of our camping trip. Trash that I had picked up on the way. Little bits of candy wrappers, and beef jerky wrappers, and old stuff that's obviously not from yesterday. So that's a tip you might want to use when you're camping in a heavily regulated place like this. Okay, you're not making a mess, you're not making trouble. Prove it. Yeah, here's my little garbage bag of other people's garbage I've picked up. I would think that would buy you a lot of cooperation from law enforcement in a situation like your brother forgot to verify the permit. So, but I'm glad he did, because I wanted to get out of here because it's just too populous. My brother and sister are taking a hike, and I'm heading back to the car and making a video for you, guys and gals. And your job is to look for Bigfoot. I have a video called "We Don't Know What's Out There." I'll put a link up there. It's pretty cool. So I'm just looking at this deserted lake in the UP where there's just, you can see from the video, miles and miles of nothing but this. And that's only a tiny portion of what there is, of course. I want to talk about, that's part of why I love to camp. I love that deep wilderness. I love the thought of coming across something unknown. That to me is exciting. I know to other people, there are YouTubers where it's scary. Here we are. We need our walkie-talkies and we need our... No. I'm just a guy. And no, I'm not afraid. How stressful would that be to be out in the woods for a month at a time alone? And thinking that you could be under attack. If I didn't believe in my safety and my wits and my expectations, my relationship with nature, I'm not a threat to anything. Therefore, no defense is required by anything. It's a beautiful thing. It's part of my relationship with nature, which I love, which is made more beautiful by this overnight experience where the rangers come and check us all out. Jeez, that was, to me, sounded like so much overkill. That's just me, and I know of a woman who grew up in our neighborhood. She was older than me, and she became a park ranger. And trying to enforce the rules alone, a woman, way out in the woods before they gave them all this equipment. Some sportsman who didn't want to play by the rules beat her up, left her there out in the woods. So I understand all the equipment that the rangers that showed up last night were in twos, bulletproof vests, all that stuff. You know, if you're going to enforce hunting laws, you've already got an armed perpetrator. So I understand that. I'm glad they have the budget for that. I want to spread out. I don't want to have any possibility that I'm getting in my jammies and ready to hop in my tent and go to sleep, and some stormtroopers walk right into the camp demanding a permit. It's like, what? That is the antithesis of stealth camping. Oh, I gotta shake it off. I'll walk it off. Walk it off, Dougie, walk it off. You're too emotional. But I told my older brother that at his funeral, I will give the eulogy when it's my turn. And everybody else has spoken about what a wonderful guy he is. What a saint. And he is. He's dedicated his life in the service of others for the last 14 years in Detroit's inner city. He's an admirable man, but he didn't write the fine print on the permit. Dude. That was my out. I was dreading the day of walking trails with a whole bunch of other people coming the other way. When that happens, two are side by side and they're talking and they're enjoying their conversation. And so, where do you go? If he doesn't fold, I mean, it's only 2 lanes, not 3. So where am I going to go? I'm going to stand in the bushes while you pass by? I don't do that. What I do is I become stationary. I stand here and I smile at them. And I make them go single file around me. Because I'm a jerk. But I'm sorry. I'm used to having a little narrow strip of a trail to myself. Or no trail at all. I got 3.5 miles to hike back to the car, and it's I've probably gone a mile. But every minute of it has been fun, talking to you, adjusting to the circumstance of the well-beaten path. And it's early enough in the morning that there's not a crowd on this trail. But you can see by the condition of the trail that happens. Yesterday afternoon when I was hiking in, there were people every 5 minutes. I'm kind of shy about using the camera and talking to it when there are people around. So I had the camera put away. Nothing of interest happened except that lady almost slipped down Chapel Falls to her death. I'll put that video, I'll put it right in here, I'll just edit it in. That's Chapel Falls. These fools are up on top, it's slippery rocks, and I almost saw the lady fall. She was hooting like, oh no! Those rocks are super slippery. He said August, they're covered with moss. Look at that. Here's what happens if he falls. Bonk, badonk, badonk. Dumber than a box of rocks. That's my take anyway. Not used to a crowded forest. My secret to backpacking, go slow. You're not in a contest to see how hard you can push yourself. Take a lot of breaks. Look for interesting things to see and enjoy. Travel light. Pack out your stuff, your trash, and grab somebody else's. Make it nice. Don't leave graffiti. You don't want to be on the dishonor roll of people that carve things up. And just take it all in. Here's the beaten path around where you can see where the top of Chapel Falls is. Let's see how the people came down here. You can see those rocks would be very slippery, and they were down there. And that's what they were facing. They almost won the Darwin Award. See how those roots right at the edge are worn? You know what they're worn from? People using them as a footrest at the edge of that slippery death trap. Badonkadonk Falls, that's what I'll call it when somebody falls off. That's what will happen on the way down. And people climbing down there. You ever see funny home videos? It wouldn't be funny, but people fall all the time because they lose their balance and they go flying. You know, it's a cliche to say, oh, well, that guy had a death wish. He's doing something really stupid. But I worked with a guy a summer while I was in college. We painted houses. And this guy was like made of just muscle and bone. He was just the toughest guy. And but what he would do, he had such agility. He would climb up on the peaks of these houses that we were painting. And he would lean over the edge with a bucket and a brush and paint the very peak where our ladders couldn't reach because they weren't long enough. He was a tough guy. He could do a handstand on one hand while chugging a beer. That's how tough this guy was. Anyway. He got into drugs. He spent all the money he was supposed to be earning all summer for college tuition on drugs. So at the end of the summer, he couldn't go to college, and he just didn't feel he could face his parents. And so he packed up all his stuff in his dorm room, and I guess he wrote a note apologizing. And then he laid down on the couch and he killed himself. And then I look back on that and I say, you know, I always thought when he was doing those dangerous things, like leaning over the edge of a 3-story building. Once he did a handstand up there, right on the peak, to freak us out. I always thought, that guy has a death wish. But I didn't know that I was right. I was just thinking, well, that's, you know, what anybody would say about behavior like that. And then I found out it was true. Rest in peace, my friend. 40 years I've had that he hasn't. And I filled him with joy. I won't say his name, out of respect for his family. He suffered enough. Also, so what if you didn't have the tuition? So what if you screwed up? Face your parents. That's a temporary problem. That's not a 40 years of my life cut short problem. Okay? And all the pain he caused his parents and his brothers and sisters. No, we are not in this world alone. And it's not fair to act that way. You tough it out, huh? I'm just telling you how tough this guy was, and then he folded like a cheap suit. No, you tough it out. You tough it out. Get some help if you need it. Okay? Find a way to get through, because the storm will not last forever and the sun will come out again. You know I'm right. Alright, I've recomposed myself, and my generation. It's taboo for a man to choke up like I did. But I should grow out of that. It doesn't. In fact, I was coaching myself on my emotions. Want the camera off, and I realized I have had many tough moments and tough weeks and months and years in my life. A ton of adversity and a lot of depression before I learned to manage my emotions and make my happiness a priority. I lost a lot and I suffered a lot. But I toughed it out. And so, forgive me if I teared up a little thinking of what I thought was toughness as a young man. Being able to stand on one hand like my friend and drink a beer with the other. Or do a handstand on the peak of a 3-story house. And then I find, actually, I did tough it out many times. Many times I felt like not going on. Ending this dream of sadness. And I just wanted to say to you, if you're feeling that way, or if you've ever felt that way, encourage others that you can get through this. Get help if you need it. Distract yourself if you need it. Leave a comment below. And click like if you're going to tough it out, or you ever have. You see, I've made it back to the parking lot. Done pontificating about suicide, how you probably shouldn't do it, except to say that unless your religious belief is strongly against it, once your quality of life has gone down to a certain level, and you've had all the fun you can wring from this beautiful, beautiful life that we all share, you ought to get peaceful with your loved ones and make your own decision. I had a friend who did that. In the hospital for 3 months, 90 years old, severe infections after surgery, and his recovery was not physically possible. And he told his big loving family, look, I've had enough. I'm going to start refusing food and water. And they all freaked out because it was against their religion. He said, I'm doing it anyway. So they all left the hospital room. I was there because my girlfriend at the time was his niece. I had become friends with him, and everyone had objected to his plan, but I knew he'd suffered long enough, and he did too, and it was his decision. And so I hung back. Everybody left. I grabbed him and shook his hand, and I said, Ernie, I think you're brave. And he said, I've always liked you, Doug. So I told him goodbye. He died 2 days later. It was so quick. And I know he's at peace. And all is well. There I go again. I'm back at the trailhead with my trophy. It's gone in the recycle thing. And some plastic. Bear proof, so I couldn't figure it out.